The Choice, a Story. As usual, she bustled around the apartment in her hurry to get ready. "Can you keep it down?" her fiancé grumbled. "I'm trying to work, you know." "Sorry, I just can't find my pass." "Did you forget it at your mother's again?" "Yes, probably. Well, I'm off. I've got to visit her anyway. Good luck with your writing. See you tonight." Sonia kissed him goodbye, hurried outside, and headed for her mother's house. As she walked along the familiar path every morning, she prayed furiously. Her mother had been fighting cancer for the past 4 years, and Sonia had been fighting alongside her. They had been to countless hospitals and transferred countless liters of Sonia's blood. Her mother was still young, only 58 years old. She had always been a strong woman, but had given up when the cancer struck, and held on only thanks to her daughter. Sonia was her beacon of light, and every time she came, her mother imagined the cancer shrinking back from her daughter's radiance. "Good morning, Mommy. How was your night?" "Good morning, sunshine. I didn't sleep again. My back is so sore I can't take it anymore." "Well, let's have breakfast, and it feel better. I brought you some porridge. Where is Dad?" "He is gone skiing." "Oh, lovely. He's made us some tea." "How are things at home? How is Alex? Lounging around again?" "Why lounging around, Mommy? He just works from home." "Sweetheart, what kind of job is it if he doesn't get paid?" "He'll get paid. Once he finishes the book." "You've been saying that for the past 3 years." "Do you want butter on your porridge?" Sonia steered away from the unpleasant topic, aware that her mother spoke the harsh truth. The clock was showing 7:15 a.m. when she ran into work. As luck would have it, the chief doctor was standing at the reception desk. "Late again, Miss Poor?" she asked forcefully, and only the creases at the corners of her eyes betrayed her true mood. "I'm really sorry," Sonia smiled apologetically. "It's fine," the doctor smiled back at her. "I get it. It was a quiet night. Room 214 is on demand." "Oh, I'm so glad to hear it." It was a busy day as usual. Running from one patient to another, IVs, injections, paperwork, and helping the new doctors. Sonia got very tired, but she did not want to change jobs. She loved it, although once upon a time, at the beginning of her journey, she regretted not becoming a doctor. She invariably visited her mother after work to measure her temperature and blood pressure, check that she had taken her medications, prepare the next batch for tomorrow, and squeeze her fresh juice. Her mom was sick to death of these juices, but she obediently drank them as instructed. Sonia would finally stagger home, aware that she would have to do it all again tomorrow. Again, instead of a hello, she was met with a question at the door. "And good evening to you too." "Do you know what time it is?" "I stayed back at Mom's." "Stayed back? You say that every time. You never spend time with me anymore. It's not fair." "Alex, you know that. Mom is sick. When she gets well, I'll spend all my time with you." "What's for dinner?" "I think there is leftover soup." "Why didn't you cook anything? You know that I come home late and have no strength left to cook." "I was working." "I see," she replied calmly. Sonia was a very non-confrontational person. She had grown up in a caring and loving home and was unaccustomed to overt consumerism and brazen selfishness. It was different in her family, where Dad always took care of both her and Mom. Standing over a boiling pot late at night, she remembered how she had met Alex. Back then, she thought he was nothing less than a genius. He was eloquent, courteous, and well-groomed, and she could not have imagined that this handsome man would one day become a milestone around her neck. The morning began as usual. She noisily got ready. He grumbled. Sonia was almost out the door when he suddenly said, "I forget to tell you that we've got some guests coming tonight. I invited the right people to promote my manuscript." "Alex, how could you invite them without asking me first? Can't you see that I'm run off my feet at the moment?" "I need this meeting. Surely you know how difficult it is for a writer to get their break these days. You've got to have connections. They need to be fed, watered, and so on. Don't be late, okay? And don't worry, I'll sort dinner out myself." She did not answer, quietly closing the front door behind her. "Has something happened?" Mom asked when she saw Sonia's face. "No, Mommy. What makes you think that? You look pale." "Don't worry, I'm fine. Here, I brought soup and cheese sandwiches. Did you drink the juice?" "I did," Mom replied, going into the small kitchen. As soon as Sonia arrived at work, she was summoned by the chief doctor. "You asked to see me, Miss Cahal." "Come in, Sonia. I wanted to tell you myself. Oh, your mother's test results have come back." Sonia grew pale. The results must not be good, or the doctor would not be speaking in such a tone. "Is everything that bad?" "I'm afraid so." "No." Sonia could not believe it. "In any case, there are still treatment options available, so you must not despair ahead of time." "The results can be wrong." The doctor shook her head. Stepping out of the office into the noisy corridor, Sonia wanted to slide down the wall and burst into tears. Only one thought ran through her mind. How would she tell her mother? She could not destroy her hopes once again. It had happened so many times over the years, and yet she seemed to be on the mend this time, and looked as if the disease had never struck. "What's wrong, Sonia?" her friend Lydia asked. "The cancer is back." Lydia, seeing that her dear friend was about to have a meltdown, took Sonia about the elbow and led her to the staff room. She sat her down gently on the sofa, gave her water, and sat beside her, stroking Sonia's hair. "Alas, crying won't help. You've got to pull yourself together." "Did you see what she was like after the last round of chemo? I don't think she can take any more." "Listen, don't think about that right now. Maybe she should redo the tests?" "I thought about that too, but Miss Cahal said there was no mistake." "Our lives are full of mistakes," Lydia smiled. "You should check again." "You think so?" Sonia asked with hope in her voice. Lydia's words helped to calm Sonia down, but she was plagued for doubt and fear throughout the day. She imagined her mother's face and the consequences of treatment, which made Sonia's hand tremble. She did not visit her mother that day, claiming that she had to stay back at work. Sonia knew that she could not hide the sadness in her face, and even she could, her mother would bound to guess the reason. As Sonia drew near to her apartment, she heard thumping music and voices trying to yell over the top of it. She sank down on the cold steps and hid her face in her hands. "My God," she whispered. "I don't even have anyone to turn to." She stood up and was about to return to work when the apartment door swung open and Alex appeared on the threshold. "Ah, "You here," he claimed. "We've all been waiting for you." Alex reached for her, and Sonia felt abruptly nauseous from the sharp and unpleasant tang of alcohol wafting from him. "What's going on with you?" "Nothing," she replied coldly, pushing him away from her. Entering the small apartment, she discovered it crowded with people. Half-naked girls dragged dirt across her carpet with their boots, leaving filthy shoe prints, while their companions did not bother to find an ashtray and stab their cigarettes on the table. Looking around the home she had so lovingly painted and furnished piece by piece, anger rose in her. She walked up to the sound system, turned off the music, and said, "Get out." There was laughter. "Huh? What?" mumbled a half-drunk girl rising from a chair. "I said get out right now, or I'll show you exactly what I mean." Her stony face showed that she was not joking. "Babe, calm down," Alex whispered, running up to her. "I told you about the right people. I pay for this apartment, which means I get to choose whom I want to see here and whom I don't. There'll be hell to pay if the apartment isn't empty in a minute." The guest disappeared astonishingly quickly. Alex was the last to leave, slamming the door so hard that the walls shook. Sonia lay down on the sofa. She wanted to scream, but she suppressed the urge and took some deep breaths. Before she knew it, she had fallen asleep. When she awoke, she was not sure at first whether it was morning or still night. The clock showed 4. She stared at the ceiling, gathering her strength to keep on fighting. Sonia knew that she would not let her mother go and do everything in her power to save her yet again. Getting up from the sofa, Sonia began to tidy the home. She was still nauseated by the smell of cigarettes, alcohol, and strong perfume in the apartment. So she opened the windows to let in the frosty fresh air. Life would get easier from today. She popped in to see her mother before work as usual. Her face betrayed nothing, so her mother did not discover the truth. Before she left, Sonia said nonchalantly, "Mommy, you seem to be feeling better, so it'd be good to undergo a full examination." "What for?" Her mom tensed up. "Don't worry," Sonia said and hugged her. "We should make sure that everything is okay, that you're getting enough vitamins and so on." "You really think so?" Her mother remained doubtful. "I am certain. I'll be with you the whole way." As soon as Sonia arrived at work, she went to see the chief doctor. "Miss Kahal, Mom is willing to undergo the necessary procedures. Can you help me arrange it all, please?" "Of course, Sonia. I'll talk to the doctors. I suppose we don't have much time. She should come to the hospital tomorrow. We'll do some more tests and an ultrasound." "Thank you. I am so incredibly grateful to you." The whole day Sonia was completely focused on her work. She was full of determination, which meant she had the strength to do anything. Lydia came up to her and took her aside after she shivered, whispering, "You're very pale. Do you want to talk about it? I'm always here if you need me." "Thanks, darling, but I'm fine. Am I pale? I gave blood this morning, so that's probably why." "Another transfusion." "Of course," Sonia smiled sadly. "It's for Mom. Don't worry about me. Everything will be fine." "Hey, I am supposed to be calming you down." Sonia hesitated as she approached the house. She did not want to deal with Alex right now. Two possible options awaited her. Either he was not there and she would have a quiet evening, or he was home and would be pacing around and sulking. If it was the second option, she would have to face a long and humiliating tirade for what she did yesterday. Deep down, Sonia already agreed with him, so she felt guilty even without his speech. I could have kept my temper in check, she thought, especially since he'd warned me about the guests. On the other hand, could he not have held this event somewhere else? Not in our tiny apartment, where I return exhausted at the end of the day. Yes, now is clearly not a good time for guests, but when is a good time? Glancing at the windows, she saw that the light was on and sighed heavily. She entered the apartment quietly. Alex was watching TV. "Hi," she said. He did not reply. "I know, you're angry at me. I shouldn't have done what I did, but you've got to understand me too." "You humiliated me in front of everyone," he hissed. "I didn't mean to. I found out yesterday that Mom's cancer has come back, so I wasn't up to receiving guests." He was silent. "Well, you can keep sulking. Yes, I was wrong, but you know better. You should have invited them to a cafe or someplace else." "I don't have the money for a cafe. That's why I invited them to our place." "Funny, but it's not my fault that you don't have any money. You can work a normal job and write a novel at the same time." "That's not how works of literature are created. Like you understand, I need to be fully focused on the task at hand." "Whatever you say, I'm sick of having this conversation for the 100th time. If you think I can keep doing this for years, you're wrong." Sonia stopped short of telling him that she could barely stand him. This was not the fight she had to focus on. The next day, Sonia arrived at the hospital with her mother. Nothing painful happened. The ultrasound was good, and the tumor marker test would be ready by evening. Her mom was shaking a little, but everything went smoothly. "Well done for being so strong, Mommy," Sonia told her afterward. "I didn't think I could. I felt so nervous because I thought it was all behind me." "Just be patient a little longer. Everything's fine, but it'll be even better." They had a nice time together after the hospital visit, and Sonia returned to work in the evening for a night shift. The results of her and her mom's blood test came back in the late afternoon. She opened her mother's envelope with shaking hands and stared at each number. "There is no cancer," she said aloud and burst into tears, collapsing on the hospital floor. Once she had calmed down, she checked the results again. "So, which one am I supposed to believe now?" She did not open her own envelope. It was not important. What was important was surviving until morning, so Miss Cahal could find out which result was the right one. The next day, the head doctor heard about Sonia's conundrum and called the laboratory to find out what happened. As it later turned out, the first test results were incorrect, and the cancer was truly gone. What a relief that Sonia had not upset her mother unnecessarily. "Mommy," she always shouted into the phone, "the test came back clear. You are healthy." Oh, I knew it. I could feel it. You saved me, baby. Well, really, Sonia said in embarrassment. Don't say that. I won't come over tonight, all right? I really need to get some sleep. She raced home. The happiness rose in her throat, threatening to choke her. She desperately wanted to share the news with Alex, but he was not home. Oh, well, he'll be happy to hear the news once he gets home. Should I bake something? It had been so long since she had felt this way. There was no fear in her today, and she finally felt at peace. Fear, panic, and anxiety had been her constant companions for the past few years. She would startle every time the phone rang, expecting bad news. Life would be much easier now. As the faint scent of vanilla wafted through the apartment, Sonia decided to unpack her bag. She finally remembered about her envelope. Opening it, she could not believe her eyes. Could it really be more happy news? She froze when she heard the key turn in the lock. Are you home? Alex asked as he entered. What is it? He looked at the envelope Sonia was holding in her hands. I'm pregnant, she replied in shock. Alex raised his eyebrows. This was clearly not a joyful reaction. What are we going to do? He asked. What can we do? Right, listen, he began sitting down next to her. I don't think this is a good time. We don't have our own place. I'm busy with my manuscript. Let's wait 3 years or so, get ourselves sorted out, and then we'll try again. Sonia studied his face carefully. Why are you looking at me like that? But it's already happened, Sonia said, touching her stomach, and it's a miracle. I see, he said sharply and stood up. I need to think. When he left, she remained sitting in the same position, the envelope still in her hands. The smell of burning brought her out of her stupor. The cake did not work out, and it did not work out with Alex either. Sonia wondered how she had lived for so long with this man. Why had she turned a blind eye to the fact that he was using her? He had never loved her. He did not know what love was. Love was not chemistry. It was friendship, support, empathy, warmth, and compassion. Only now did she realize what she had to do and how to keep going. The next day, there was a phone call for her at the reception desk. It was Alex. He had come to the hospital and wanted to see her. Throwing on her coat, she went out to talk to him. Sorry, I didn't come yesterday. You stunned me with the news. I've thought about it, and you need to have an abortion. No, Sonia replied harshly. I am not ready for a child. I am busy with other things right now. I have a career ahead of me, and all these diapers and things aren't for me. Alex, it's already happened. I am not going to have an abortion. You leave me no choice, Sonia. It's either me or the baby. Sonia stood at the empty intersection and watched his retreating back. Lifting her hand to the sky, She felt the cold snowflakes melt as they landed on her hot face. "How easy was that?" she whispered.